Hey guys, this lesson is all about reviewing some of the tools that we use in math. And with you guys being at heart, it's harder to get you all of the tools, but I'm going to show you how to use them. And um, the two ones that I want to focus on is reading a clock and measuring. Um, Reading a clock, something that I'm sure you guys have at your houses or is a tool that you'll need to be able to use. And measuring is another tool. You'll need like a ruler to measure these things. It's another thing that is a good skill to have so that you're able to use that later. So I want to review a clock. And on the left side, as you know, the parts of a clock are the face. That is just the surface where the numbers are at. You have the hour hand on my clock in the middle. The hour hand is the red hand, and it is the short one. So whenever I'm talking about the hour, I need to make sure that I'm looking at the smaller hand of those two hands. The blue one on my clock is the minute hand, and it is longer. I want you to pay attention to the numbers. So we have the big red numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Those numbers are going to tell me the hour. So if it's at the 3 o'clock hour, I'm going to read the red numbers. If you look carefully on the outside, in the blue, you see numbers, they're a little bit smaller, and you also see those small dots. So those are the minutes. There are 60 minutes in an hour. And so one time around the clock is going to be 60 minutes or 1 hour. Now, when we look at the clock, we usually count our minutes by fives. Not all clocks have the numbers written on the outside like this one does. And you might just have to count by fives to get to the time that we would have. So as my minute hand, the blue hand moves around, it lands on the one. It would stop on the one, but that's really 5 minutes because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 within that small section. So we would say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. And then when we get back to 60, we start a new hour. So when I'm reading a clock, I'm going to look for the hour hand. That's the smaller one. On this clock, it's the red one. And I'm going to look and see what hour it's pointing to or what hour it's just a little bit past. Because the hour hands do not stay in the same spot as the minute hand moves around. The hour hand will get closer to the next hour the closer it gets to the higher minutes, so the closer it gets to 60. After I know the hour, then I can look at the minute hand and figure out the minutes. So if you look over here at the left side, this is how we would write the time. The first number is the hour, and the second number is going to be the minute. All right, so like I said earlier, the other tool that we're going to look at is the rulers. And rulers can look all kinds, all different. You might have a foot ruler that has 12 inches, and you might have a shorter ruler. You can measure lengths with tape measures. So rulers are going to look all different, but most rulers will have, excuse me, an inch side and a millimeter or centimeter side. Inches are the US customary unit, and the centimeters is going to be the metric unit. In the United States, we typically use the inch. So on this ruler, the inches are found on the bottom. The largest numbers mark where the whole inch can be. So from 0 to 1 is an inch, from 1 to 2 is an inch, from 2 to 3 is an inch, from 3 to 4 is an inch. The centimeters can be found at the top of the ruler. The larger numbers mark where a whole centimeter can be found. So from 0 to 1 is a centimeter, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 is a whole centimeter. Rulers are going to be used to measure shorter lengths. We have other tools that would measure longer lengths. Like I said earlier, many rulers are 12 inches or 1 foot. They will typically have 2 sets of numbers. When we're talking about inches, we can abbreviate it to IN. When we're talking about centimeters, we can abbreviate it CM. I am going to show you a few examples of how to read the clocks. And as we go through third grade, we're going to be focusing on reading a clock to the nearest minute. So looking at those small little tick lines to read to the nearest minute. So like I said before, we're going to start with the hour, and the hour is the shorter hand. And so this hour hand is just a little bit past the 4. Sometimes I like to draw that line out. It's past the 4, but not to the 5. So we say it is in the 4 hour. And then I'm going to look at my minute hand, the longer one, and I'm going to use my numbers here, but I'm going to count by 5. So this isn't 4, 3, because that's pointing to the 3. But remember, the 3 tells us the hours. We would be counting all of these teeny tiny marks. And this is 5, this is 10, and 15. So this minute is on the 15. So we would read this time 4:15. Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2, the hour hand, the short one, goes to about right here. It is past the 6, but not quite to the 7. So it still has a little bit more in the 6 o'clock hour. So I'm going to write 6 o'clock, put my 2 dots down. And again, I'm going to go around and count the minutes. We're not going to say it's 6:09 because it's pointing to the 9, but we have to count the minutes. So we're going to say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So the time is 6:45. All right, number 3 is where it gets a little bit tricky. So this hand is not quite to the 10. It is so very close, but something that I like to do sometimes is to take my piece of paper and look to see where that line goes out. So it is not quite to the 10. If I were to keep drawing my line, I'm not at the 10 yet. So I know that my hour is going to be the 9. I'm going to continue counting around for the minute hand, the long one. And it's not 9:11, but it is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So 55 is super close to the 60 to make a new hour. So that's why our hour hand is so super close to the 10. So it is 9:55. You're going to be working in your math journal, and one of the problems is going to be measuring the line segment. So if you have the ruler, you're going to use it to measure out. I couldn't find one of my big rulers, so I'm actually using a protractor, and I'm going to start where the edge of the ruler is, or sometimes they might have a 0. So on this one, I'm going to put the beginning of my line right on top, and then I'm going to measure out to where the end is, and it stops right at 4 inches. So my number 10 says the line segment is 10 inches, or 4 inches, sorry. The line segment is 4 inches. Okay. Then it says to measure the line segment in centimeters. So on mine, it's kind of a mess. My centimeters start right here, and I'm going to measure out and it goes all the way down here to about the 10 centimeters. So this line segment is about 10 centimeters. Number 12 and 13 says to count the squares to find the area. The area is the space inside. So I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So this area is about 24 square units. Number 13 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So this has an area of 28 square units. Now, one of the other things that you will see on your book is asking you to name and draw different shapes. You don't have your pattern template, so you're just going to be drawing them. This is a parallelogram. This one is a trapezoid. This one is a rectangle, a square, and this is a parallelogram. I think this one it can be called a parallelogram, but it can also be called a rhombus. A rhombus has 4 equal sides, but they do not have square corners. And then the bottom one says, what's another name for the polygon that have exactly 4 sides? It could be a quadrilateral. Okay. You are going to work on your math journal page. You're going to look for the one that has Math Journal 1, and you're going to be working on page 5, I believe. It's also in the Cami, and you're going to submit Cami. You can do your work in the book and then submit it to Cami.